From the long line waiting to see Popeye 2, it's the IGN Digigods. Now, please welcome, won't you, two Pirates of the Caribbean, Wade Major and Mark Kaiser.
Yeah, shouting it out. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Arr, Nicholas Gordon.
Thank you, Nicholas. I was actually on Pirates of the Caribbean about a week and a half ago. The ride itself, which stinks now because they've all Johnny Depped it up.
Didn't you just go to Disneyland like 6 months ago or something?
No, a year ago. Exactly a year ago. Precisely 1 year ago.
So there's somebody's birthday?
Well, no, it's when family's in town.
Got it.
When, you know, the kids, you know, they like that Disney thing.
Well, why not?
Actually, California Adventure, you know, they're doing a whole new thing at California Adventure. They're remodeling it completely.
They really?
Yeah. They're doing a whole, 1920s style revival. They're going to take down that Golden Gate Bridge thing. They're going to do it all up like the way that Los Angeles was when Walt first started working in Los Angeles.
That sounds like a boondoggle that I cannot even imagine.
It's great.
First of all, I've never been to California Adventure.
Oh my gosh, you're missing some of the best rides in the world.
No, I'm not.
You are.
Like
I'm serious.
What? Like what?
Like California Screamin'.
What is that?
It is a
I don't
roller
like roller coasters.
Oh, that's right. You're Mr. Vomit.
I get nauseous. Is there anything else to do except roller coasters, or is that it?
Well, let's see. There's California Screamin', which is awesome because it's got a loop in it like the Revolution at Magic Mountain, except you literally, it does not go off to slow. You start at 65 miles an hour in this roller coaster. It just kicks you right off. It's like a rocket. It's great. It's awesome. Then there's also the Twilight Zone Hotel of Terror.
Ooh, do.
Yeah, where basically it just kind of like drops you and then pulls you up and then drops you again. And
I don't like that.
Yeah. And then there's
but the idea of a Twilight Zone hotel, that sounds like fun.
It is, actually. Actually, waiting to get into it is kind of cool because you're going through the hotel and everything's all creepy. And then California Soarin', or just Soarin'. I think it's called Soarin', but it's great.
California Sauron, the guy from Lord of the Rings?
It's Soarin' is great. It's you sit down in basically it's like they have these stadium seating things, but they're on cable, so it lifts you up, and then you're watching this huge kind of IMAX-y screen of just aerial photography, but it moves you so that you feel like you're actually soaring over these locales in California. It's really cool.
Did I tell you about the time that I went
you
on
don't care.
Did I tell you about the time I went on the Back to the Future ride in Las Vegas?
No.
Have you been on that?
No.
The Back to the Future, and this has nothing to do with DVDs.
Yeah.
But the Back to the Future ride in Las Vegas, it's one of those cars, and the car seats like 15 people.
It's like Star Tours.
It's like Star Tours. It's on hydraulics.
Right,
There's a screen in front of you.
Yeah.
So all my friends are going on it, and they want me to go on this ride. And I don't want to go on the ride because I know it'll make me nauseous, because I know it makes me nauseous. Sitting on a train facing the other direction than the train is moving makes me nauseous.
Wow.
My driving makes myself nauseous sometimes. So I don't want to go on this ride. But it's Vegas, and it's a bunch of guys, and they're all making me feel like I'm a big dork because I won't. So I said, you know what? Maybe I've changed. Maybe I can handle something like Back to the Future. I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to go on this ride. And you know what? Within literally 2 seconds, I had my hand over my eyes, and I desperately wanted to leave because I was going to throw up. And so
I'm sorry.
And so when the ride ended, I literally was just walking around in circles. I had to be escorted by two people into a cab. And I wound up with a driver who kept running all these red lights because he wanted to, I guess, get to the next fare. So the driver was making me nauseous, and I was out until the next morning.
Oh, that is the greatest story ever. Why have you never told me that before?
You didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
That was the Back to the Future ride.
I would have loved to have filmed that.
Oh no, you wouldn't have. Filmed in vomit cam.
Well, we want to give a shout out to one of our listeners, Kyle Stevens, who is a proud dad today, or as of a couple of days ago, and he sent us a picture of his new son.
Yay!
As opposed to the old son. No, it's and we're flattered. We're really flattered. So
no, he sent a picture of his son with sunglasses on.
Yeah, that was funny.
That was awesome.
That was awesome. We dug it. So, bravo, congratulations, well done.
Congratulations.
And
by the way, by the time Kyle's son grows up, what do you think he'll be watching on home? What will his home theater experience be? This baby.
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch in 4D.
Which, of course, I'm referencing my. I'm doing a little Digigods tie-in, my little tirade. If you haven't seen it, go check out YouTube or stupidmovies.com. My tirade, we almost got it to go viral. My hatred for Sucker Punch. By the way, as long as we're still on the topic, not of Sucker Punch, but of Kyle Stevens. Kyle Stevens also did write us a very interesting email that I wanted to get into as well, where he said, why do studios continue to make bad, campy, constantly winking at the camera comic book movies? Having seen the trailer for Thor and the Green Lantern, it looks to me like this summer will be another with watch 'em once comic movies. Why don't they take a page from Nolan and Warner Brothers and try to make their film as grounded in reality as possible? I realize that with some of the subject matter that can be difficult to say the least. But directors and screenwriters should be able to compensate with a strong narrative, character building, and storytelling. Oh, yes, those were the days. I just can't justify spending $45 a pop anymore for these crap movies. Special effects can only carry this genre so far. I, for one, am hoping this summer batch of regurgitated films is our last. Unfortunately, it probably won't be. But he says the public needs to demand better and not let these movies make $100 million opening weekend anymore. That just encourages the studios. As always, your humble and loyal fan. Thanks, Kyle. It's a great point. It's one that we keep hammering over and over and over. And, at some point, it's got to be a law of diminishing returns. People are going to get sick of it.
You know what I was thinking earlier today? The real reason why we have what we have is not because of consolidation, media consolidation.
Yeah.
It's not because of DVD, whatever.
Yeah.
It's the rise of the multiplex. It used to be that a theater was one theater.
Yes.
It was 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And that was it. Now you go to a theater and there's 12 movies, 12 auditoriums, and they all have to show something.
Yes.
And they're not going to show 12 different movies.
It is that has I don't know if it's the main culprit, but it's part of the problem, which is that it used to be that people would look in the paper and read the reviews, and then they decide what movie they wanted to go see, and then they would go to that one screen showing that one movie. Unlike but then there's places like Westwood and Hollywood, which were sort of like multiplexes on a square mile basis. But you went to the theater that was showing the movie you wanted to see. Now people don't even make that decision until they get there. Well, let's just go down to the Vatatska and let's see what's playing. And then they make their decision once they get there. And I think that's bad because that encourages studios to, well, let's just throw a bunch of stuff out. If one thing's sold out, they'll go see the other thing. So we'll at least get some spillover.
Well, also, if, let's say, you have a 3-plex or a 4-plex.
Yeah.
Let's say Sucker Punch is sold out,
right,
and Win-Win happens to be starting in 10 minutes. You may go see Win-Win because you're at the theater.
Sure.
Nowadays, if Sucker Punch isn't – if you just miss Sucker Punch or it's sold out, in 10 minutes, another auditorium will be showing Sucker Punch. And if that one's sold out, there'll be another one showing Sucker Punch.
Yep.
So they want to just flood these 10, 12-screen multiplexes with the same big-ticket movie.
Dreadful. Well, let's get into some DVDs.
DVDs.
Yeah,
that's what we do
That's
here.
what we do. Got a trio of anime things from Viz. Viz is one of the big anime distribution companies on DVD. Vampire Knight, the complete series. Now, whenever anime touches on the subject of vampires, it is almost always really, really cool because it kind of goes more in. It's not like what you get with television vampires these days, which is all sort of hunks and hot chicks and ripped abs and big boobs and leather, and it's too sexy. You get really interesting character stuff in the anime vampire stuff. And Vampire Knight is not bad. There's 13 episodes here. I did not get through even a fraction of them, but what I saw I really liked. Animation's good. Story seems to be pretty good. And the drama is quite compelling. So it's a little kind of Blade-ish, but it looked pretty cool. And then we've got Naruto Shippuden. This is DVD set 5. This is episodes 56 through 65, original and uncut. Look, honestly, Naruto Shippuden is just one of those legendary anime series. I can't possibly spend any time explaining what this is all about. If the name just makes you hot and bothered, then you are into it. On the other hand, am not. I don't get it. I'm totally lost when I look at these things, and I think it's because I've
You're basically just lost.
You're just lost. If
You're
miss
lost.
if you miss like
You
one,
are lost.
Yeah,
not people.
The whole Naruto Shippuden thing. If you miss one episode, you just don't know what's going on. It's like Twin Peaks that way. I don't get it. And then 5 hours of Pokemon on 5 discs with Pokemon Elements Collection 2.
Damn right.
You know what? If you need for us to explain this to you as well, then you have been living on Mars. Pokemon, you know what? They come up with some weird-ass, creepy little creatures, this show does.
That's still around.
I know. People still... It's not the phenomenon that it was 15, 16, 17 years ago. You remember when the Pokemon movie was like a phenomenon? That thing opened with some huge amount of money.
Do you remember
that was ridiculous.
How about the Mario Brothers? Do you remember the Mario Brothers movie with Bob Hoskins and John Leguizamo?
That was the worst. It was so dreadful.
That's the best.
Unbelievable. So anyway, there's a trio of Viz titles for you. Obviously, Pokemon skews a lot younger, and Naruto Shippuden skews a lot older. But out of these three, I got to say, if you haven't heard of it, Vampire Knight, check it out. Complete series here, and I'm certainly going to watch the rest of it, because this one I can understand, because it's a complete series. It's not like...
It's been dumbed down for you, basically.
Yeah, it's not like Naruto Shippuden, where it's just this vast, ongoing, epic saga that I can't wrap myself around. But anyway.
Now, let's do some movies, Wade.
Let's do some movies.
And then later on, we'll talk about a package that Wade received in the mail.
Oh, my gosh. Hysterical, truly, what the marketing departments are doing. It's unbelievable.
That is true.
Absolutely. All right. Legally Blonde 2 is on Blu-ray. I know.
I like Legally Blonde.
I love Legally Blonde. You know, they turned it into a Broadway musical.
You know, don't
I know.
get me...
I know.
Look, Legally
I know.
Blonde, Driving Miss Daisy... Billy Elliot,
Ooh,
just stop it
Driving
already.
Miss Daisy, the musical.
Yes, no, there's a Driving Miss Daisy Broadway show.
That's insane.
I'm telling you, you know what? Broadway. It's almost Broadway is doing what Hollywood does.
Let me guess.
Yes.
Is there a song where he breaks out into song when he says I needs to make water? Did they turn that into a song?
Yes, and the first 3 rows will get wet.
Oh, zing. Anyway, Legally Blonde 2, Red, White, and Blonde. You know what? Honestly, this took a good thing way too far. I love Reese Witherspoon. I love the first movie. This just completely lacked the charm that it needed to have. But if you just kind of want to be a completist about it, there it is. It's out on Blu-ray. Cute little chihuahua, the whole deal. But it's not nearly the movie that the original was.
Wait, I don't know how Dogtooth wound up being nominated for an
Academy Award?
Academy Award for Best Foreign Film.
That was a stunner, wasn't it?
But
really?
Really, Dogtooth is a twisted. You will see nothing like, and often you will hear people say, "You've seen nothing like that. You have seen nothing like Dogtooth."
Well, Blue. You know, this has been out on DVD for a few weeks, and Kino finally put it out on Blu-ray. And I don't know that I really want to see this story that much sharper.
And you know what? It's a little bit sharper, but it's nothing to write home about. The whole thing takes place in pretty much in one house, in one property.
With one very twisted family.
Yes, and the whole idea, if you didn't hear the other show, is that Dogtooth is about a mother and father who have kept their kids in this house their entire lives and have created this
surreal, weird world and point of view. I mean, just the way that they view the world. The
parents have taught their kids in a certain way that scares them from leaving the house. They've taught them that house cats are vicious and will kill them.
It's freakish.
And so
very
basically
disturbing.
the kids are afraid to leave their house for their whole lives. These kids are now teenagers.
Yeah.
They're grown.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to leave their house because their parents have told them lies throughout their entire life about what's really out there in the real world. And so it's totally twisted, and I liked it a lot.
Man.
But it's not something that you want to show, let's
No.
say, maybe your mother.
Or your 5-year-old.
Or your 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Kyle, don't show your baby a Dogtooth. The extras here are the same, deleted scenes, interview with the director, crazy stuff. I just heard that he's working on a sequel. The director, Yorgos Lanthimos, is working on a sequel to Dogtooth.
It won the Certain Regard Award at the Cannes Film Festival.
Yes.
So it won the Certain Regard section, which is kind of like, for those who don't know, the Cannes Film Festival has a million different sections. There's the official section, which is the big competition section, usually has about something like 20, 24 films in it. And then you've got Certain Regard, which is like the other section. It's like these are the films that weren't good enough to be in the the main selection, but we have a little separate competition for them. And then you got Directors Fortnight, which has nothing to do with the official Cannes Film Festival. It's the French Directors Organization, but they have their own little competition simultaneously, so it's kind of all part of the same deal. And then you got like 3 or 4 other sections, dozens and dozens and dozens of movies to see.
I want to go back to Cannes. I want to go back to Cannes someday, don't you?
Blu-ray of The Secret of Nim at long last. And yes, I do want to go back to Cannes badly.
I didn't think I heard what I said.
I did. I want to go back.
I know.
Secret of Nim on Blu-ray is gorgeous. It really is. I have to give them props over there at 20th Century Fox. It's an MGM movie, but they release through 20th Century Fox. They have the same mastering facilities. And Fox releases a lot of crappy Blu-rays, I got to tell you, but this is not bad. Not as great as it probably should be, but for a kick it out Blu-ray, it looks really, really nice. And you got to see this. Secret of Nim it was the first film that Don Bluth and Gary Goldman made when they went out on their own away from Disney, and it's based on a wonderful children's novel, children's book, and it's probably, I think, still Don Bluth's best film.
Yeah, Don Bluth.
Don Bluth
had a moment.
He had a moment, and Land Before Time was a decent film, and American Tail annoyed me a little bit, but it's a good film. But I still think Secret of Nim is it. The first one, they nailed it.
Well, but Land Before Time wound up with like 75 straight to DVD sequels
that he had nothing
to do with.
Yeah.
My Blu-ray pick of the week is my favorite film of 2010, Black Swan. This is a 2-disc set, and Natalie Portman won an Oscar. Maybe you've been hearing about this controversy regarding how
much of the dancing is hers and was the double and all that.
Can I say that? Who gives an S? I mean, honestly,
that's not the whatever.
And you know what? And Darren Aronofsky, the director, he actually has gone on record, really, actually, almost quantifying the amount that was Natalie, the amount that was the double, and the amount that was face replacement. And you know what? I got to tell you, if I was him, I wouldn't even give those guys the time of day.
It's silly. Come on.
They're basically Black Swan birthers.
Yeah, that's what they are.
Like they care. Who cares?
Silly. It's nuts.
It's silly. This is a 2-disc set. First disc is the Blu-ray, and it's a terrific transfer. But you got to understand one thing, which is that the movie was shot on 16 millimeter, and it was shot on a Canon DSLR. So this isn't one of those Toy Story pristine transfers, because 16 millimeter obviously is quite grainy, but still it's a good transfer. It's just don't expect something that is clean and pristine. It wasn't shot that way, wasn't meant to be that way. Thank goodness Fox didn't artificially clean it up. We gave Matthew Labatique, the cinematographer, our best cinematographer award, LA Film Critics, last year. He richly deserved it. So it's good stuff. So Disc 1 is the Blu-ray, and Disc 2 is the digital copy, may I say. A couple extras, they're not bad, behind the curtain. Couple featurettes, making-ofs behind the curtain and 10 years in the making, and a bunch of useless cast profiles. So I love this film. It totally worked me. I love Darren Aronofsky. I think that guy just works it like no one I've ever seen. And I love the film, Black Swan.
There you go. I am not a fan, but I will. You have every right to tell people go nuts for it. Hemingway's Garden of Eden. Interesting failure here. Starring Mina Suvari, who is I got to tell you, as much as I liked her in
American Beauty 26 years ago.
26. Oh gosh, has it been? No, it's been
26 years.
It's been like 13 years ago.
Yeah, wild, right?
Man, as much as I love her in that movie, I got to be honest with you, she's not a good actress.
Well, her career never went anywhere.
She just isn't. I mean, she really comes off as so actory in this movie. It's just anyway.
Well, the thing with American Beauty is that she didn't have to play a character. She had to play an ideal.
Yeah.
Right. Kevin Spacey's pedophilic fantasy.
Yeah.
Which is not necessarily the same as really crafting a great performance, which I don't think she has in her.
Well, this stars Mina Suvari and Jack Huston. Now, Jack Huston is a British actor, but he is yet another one of the Huston clan. He is not from Danny or Angelica. He's their nephew, and he's not that good either. This whole movie is kind of a weird. I have never read the novel. I am not a fan of anything Hemingway. I'll preface this by saying that I really don't care for his writing, and this is the kind of Hemingway story that really just gives me unbelievable gas. But because here's what it is. It's like kind of takes place, it's like 30s, 40s. And it's about this guy, this writer, typical kind of Hemingway projecting himself onto one of his characters, a writer who marries this woman who is cold but manipulative and seductive and the whole thing. And they go on this weird little coastal vacation where all kinds of strange marriage-wrecking, seductive menage a trois things start happening. I don't get it. I don't understand the point. The acting's not very good. The movie is very ambitious in the story it wants to tell, but it's just not that interesting. You just want to slap these people at a certain point. Lionsgate released it. It is very rightly rated R. See it only if you have kind of a Mina Suvari thing, but she's not very good in it.
Wade, the big controversial release of the week is Last Tango in Paris on Blu-ray.
Speaking of movies about sexual things.
That's right. Last Tango in Paris, 1972. This is based on this movie's based on a sexual fantasy from Bertolucci. Yes.
Could I just say one thing?
What?
Butter.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying.
Can I say one thing?
Go ahead.
Cue cards.
Yeah.
Because, Brando, who plays a recently widowed hotel owner, American hotel owner in Paris, he, of course, refused to memorize his lines, so they littered the set with cue cards so that he could just look at the cue cards and read his lines.
This was like, wasn't this the first movie where he did that?
Because it certainly wasn't the last. I'll tell you that.
No, it wasn't. He started doing that fairly routinely at a certain point, and it drove a lot of directors nuts.
Oh, God. And in fact, there's a scene in the movie where Brando, he has this long speech over the body of his wife.
Yeah.
And Brando kind of lifts his eyes upward as he gives his speech, as if he's looking to the heavens where his wife is now resting in peace. Not true. God. He's looking at his cue cards.
Yes, he is.
It's awesome.
Yes, he is, folks.
Anyway, very controversial for the time. The Blu-ray transfer. This is a 1.85:1 high definition widescreen transfer. Looks good. Looks good. You know what? It's got some film grain, but that's okay because that's Bertolucci and that's 1972.
And I mean, this is again part of the MGM Fox thing, and I'm going to talk about another one here in a second. And they seem to have kind of upped it a notch. Because I know a lot of people were complaining about their releases, and there's a number of these classic films this week, Secret of NIMH and that, and then this next one that I'm talking about. And
but there's no extras on Last Tango.
I know, there aren't.
Lame.
Like the next one here I'm going to talk about is Rain Man. It's kind of the same deal. Rain Man has a few extras on it, but it's stuff that you already know. Commentary with Barry Levinson and commentary with Barry Morrow, the writer, one of the writers, and another audio commentary with.
Shaky Green?
Ron Bass. It's, Barry Morrow wrote the novel and Ron Bass wrote the screenplay. It's, Rain Man, same thing. It's a decent transfer. It's better than the average MGM 20th Century Fox thing that we were accustomed to from about 6, 7, 8 months ago, a year ago. So I'm going to recommend this. I would, if this were still the way that Fox were transferring things about a year ago, I would probably not. But I think they've improved enough to where you gotta upgrade the Blu-ray for Rain Man. Go on, it's Rain Man.
Best picture.
Tom Cruise's best performance.
It's funny because
it is. It's a really good. I didn't think it at the time. But
Hoffman was the guy who wouldn't get all the accolades.
Yeah,
for.
But it's Tom Cruise's movie.
Well, that's the thing. What people sometimes forget is that the Hoffman character doesn't really have an arc.
No.
He's just a bunch of ticks. The Cruise character, he's got the arc.
Yes.
He's the one who's got to change over the course of the film. And I felt like Tom Cruise didn't get a whole lot of credit for that, whereas Dustin Hoffman just did a great job with the ticks he had to do.
Very true.
Now,
Moonstruck, which is the other big one from MGM and Fox. This is a little tougher on the transfer, I think, just because of the way
transfer.
It's good, but the way the movie's shot, Moonstruck is not a gorgeous looking movie.
No.
Jewison did not have a lot of money to work with for this. So it's a little bit grainy to begin with. So the transfer is a little grainy looking, but it's I'm going to recommend the upgrade as well. And of course, you get an audio commentary here with Cher and Jewison and John Patrick Shanley, who won an Academy Award for this.
Because it's a terrific film. And you know what? It's one of those movies where it's kind of been a bit forgotten.
A little bit, and it shouldn't be because it's so much fun.
If you watched it, you'd totally love it. You'd totally dig it.
Love it.
Why do you want to talk about the Wild Rovers?
Because, Mark, The Wild Rovers is a long-lost film. It's part of the archive collection from Warner Brothers. That's why we got to talk about The Rovers. This is, of course, the stuff that you can only get on DVD to burn, DVD to order, whatever you want to call it, where they make the DVD for you once you order it. And it's a DVD-R, so don't be expecting a regular, it comes nicely packaged, but don't be expecting a commercial-grade DVD. You go to WarnerArchive.com for The Rovers, and you will discover a wonderful, long-forgotten Western starring William Holden, Ryan O'Neal, and Carl Malden.
And, this was directed by Blake Edwards.
Yep.
And, this movie was kind of taken away from Blake Edwards. There was a lot of studio interference with this film with Blake Edwards, and the fact is that his battles with the studio on this movie spurred Blake Edwards to make S.O.B.,
Yep.
which is all about his...
Which is why this is a really, really interesting movie to watch.
That's right.
It's not a great film, but it's not as bad as everybody said it was at the time. It's one of those kind of fascinating failures in a way.
Edwards disowned it, basically.
Yeah. Well, for good reason, but it's not a bad film. He wrote it and he directed it. It's got a great score by Jerry Goldsmith, who was still writing real scores at that time. Also, kind of a really cool. It's got a good vibe to it. It's an unusual Western, and it was. Here's the thing too. This is one of the cool little bits here. Look at this on the back here. The rating.
GP, that's what it was called.
That's right. This has never been re-rated. This is from when they had the GP rating, which was what preceded PG. And we don't get PG movies anymore. We get PG-13.
I wonder why they re-rated it. I wonder why they didn't just re-rate that, because it costs money, and why even spend the money?
Why bother?
Why bother?
Why bother? It's a neat little artifact there.
You know what? I guarantee. We should do a Google. I guarantee somebody is saying that there's a typo on the packaging.
Not true.
Not true. No one's going to say there's a typo.
Not true. Talking about Don Bluth, we got another Bluth film here that I'm very mixed on. All Dogs Go to Heaven is one of the films that was considered one of the better Bluth films because it did well enough to have a sequel. The only thing I really like about this, the artwork is great. I'll say that. The animation and the artwork is terrific, and I really, really love the fact that they use the voices of a certain trio of people who know each other very, very well, mainly Lonnie Anderson, Burt Reynolds, and Dom DeLuise. But that being said, it should be better. It just should be a better film. Some of the other voices here that you'll recognize, some classic voices from the 70s, like Vic Tayback and Charles Nelson Riley. We just don't have voices like that anymore. But at the same time, Don Bluth and Gary Goldman, the script for this thing should be better. It's like it's designed just to be a sweet story about, this little girl and dogs, and they didn't feel the obligation to go the extra mile and make it as good as it could be. They should have, darn it.
Dagnabbit. Wait, Scream 4 is coming out, and that can only mean one thing. Actually, that can only mean three things.
Yeah, Scream 1, 2, and 3 on Blu-ray?
Yes, yeah. Now, Scream was from 1996, and, at the time, Scream kind of... put a charge in the thriller genre. It was all a bunch of Jason and Freddy crap, and this one was clever, and it was unique for the time. And the idea that the biggest star in the movie, Drew Barrymore, would get killed off in the first 7 minutes. That was almost like Janet Leigh in Psycho.
Yeah.
You did not expect that.
I know.
And so Scream is terrific. And looks fine on Blu-ray. It's a Wes Craven, so it's a low-budget film anyway. It's not going to clean up all that great, but there's a bunch of there's a bunch of features, including audio commentary, production featurettes, behind-the-scenes crap. From then on, the quality sort of dropped. Let's say Scream 2, also by Wes Craven. Scream 3, also by Wes Craven. And I just felt like it was diminishing returns at this point.
Yeah, it is.
And when it comes to Scream 4, I don't know what else is going to be, what else it could be that would.
It's the same
thing. That would put it back into that place of originality and surprise.
It doesn't
and
need
uniqueness.
to, because you got a whole new generation now that only knows Scream from DVD. So this is going to be a whole new experience for them.
I guess that's true.
Yeah,
I guess that's true.
Well, Mark, we were earlier talking about Cannes, the Cannes Film Festival.
I miss it.
I
miss La Pizza.
Oh man, I hate you.
I'm gonna do a Google right now on La Pizza.
You know what I miss? I miss Le Moulquerie, the Laughing Mule, the Laughing Mussel.
No,
it's a great place. Up Le Suquet, it's great. That place is fabulous.
No, wait. The La Pizza. The eggplant.
The aubergine. Oh,
Aubergine,
my
the
gosh,
eggplant pizza.
It's the greatest.
It is the greatest.
Well, the one thing that makes me not necessarily want to go back to Cannes, believe it or not, is a movie called Can Man. Now, this is from Cinema Libre. Cinema Libre normally releases politically oriented stuff, a certain kind of edgy indie things. This movie is such an odd attempt to make a movie during the Cannes Film Festival, with the Cannes Film Festival as a backdrop, and I get what they're doing. The guy who directed his name's Richard Martini, not really a very good director, but he somehow gets a lot of people to show up in this movie, which kind of gives it some underground, dirty backyard cred. Johnny Depp shows up in this thing, Benicio del Toro, Jim Jarmusch, Jim Sheridan, John Malkovich, even Harvey Weinstein gets his mug in this movie. And I don't know necessarily how he managed to get them to agree to stay in the movie, but there they are. And Seymour Cassel, of course, is in it because he's in every single movie, including the movie that Mark and I once worked on. Boy, that was a while back, wasn't it?
Don't remind me.
Oh, Seymour. But anyway, Seymour Cassel basically is much more the star. The others are all sort of cameos here. Seymour Cassel is the producer figure in this that sets everything in motion. It's not a great movie industry satire. It wants to be. It's interesting that it uses the Cannes Film Festival as a backdrop. Watch it only if you've never been to Cannes, but don't expect this to be in any way representative.
Oh, Wade.
Yes.
I just have 3 words to say to you.
Scream 1, 2, and 3.
Teen Wolf.
Yeah.
1985. Teen
Woo!
Wolf. This movie is thanks to this movie. We have Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future.
Really?
Well, because this movie shot on the same lot
Yeah.
that Back to the Future was shooting on. This is
Right.
like 1985.
Right.
With Eric Stoltz in the lead, Back to the Future.
Uh-huh.
By the time this was done shooting Teen Wolf,
Yeah.
Stoltz was on the cusp of and would eventually be fired
Yes.
and replaced with the guy who just wrapped Teen Wolf on the very same set, on the very same location,
There you go.
studio
Wow.
backlot, Michael J. Fox.
And of course, I have told my story about how I snuck onto the clock tower scene at the time that they had Eric Stoltz in the cast, when I snuck on courtesy of Brian Burke, the executive producer of the last Star Trek movie. It was unbelievable. He was a producer back then, sneaking on a freaking lot. So it was unbelievable.
So Teen Wolf,
Anyway.
you know what? It holds up as a kids' film. It's not a great film. It was there was a sequel, Teen Wolf 2. There's a TV show. I'm actually surprised this has not been redone.
Yeah, I am.
Actually, you know what? Hang on
Don't
for a
give me any
second.
ideas.
Wait, hang on. The Blu-ray includes exclusive sneak peek at the MTV original new series Teen Wolf. Look at me.
Oh.
Oh, God help us all.
The last week we talked about King of Kings,
Now Queen of Queens.
and as that made its Blu-ray debut, that can only mean one thing. This week it's time for The Greatest Story Ever Told, because you see, Easter's just around the corner, which means all the Jesus movies have to be coming out. And next week we'll be talking, hopefully, about the Ten Commandments on Blu-ray, which is a big freaking deal. And that'll dovetail us into this other little thing we're going to talk about in a moment. But King of Kings, of course, is this giant, misbegotten Jesus tale directed by George Stevens, who was so inundated. By the way, this is rated NC-17. Just kidding. It's rated G. This is not the Mel Gibson film.
Is it rated GP?
No, it's just rated G.
Okay.
Greatest Story Ever Told, starring Max von Sydow as Jesus Christ. Max von Sydow, of course, the Swedish actor and famously of a lot of Ingmar Bergman movies. Not bad in the part, really. The movie itself is just a big, lumbering, overly ambitious, undercooked star vehicle, and it's they're just too many stars playing too many weird parts and too many cameos. And the problem was this thing was so wacky out of budget, so completely crazy out of control at the time, that the studio was going to take the film away from George Stevens. And the only way that George Stevens could salvage the film was to stay on schedule. And the only way he could stay on schedule was to convince a lot of his director friends to direct pieces of the script. And so there are big chunks of this movie that were directed by a lot of other famous directors at the time, all uncredited. For instance, the scene with Pontius Pilate, directed by
Stanley Kubrick.
David Lean.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's an interesting little bit of lore that you don't necessarily get any information of about on this thing, but you do get a couple of documentaries. Again, not great documentaries, but they're fine. And they don't, you should do a little more extra research. The transfer, it's decent. Again, we're still in the MGM and Fox land here, but this film is so widescreen. I hesitate to say
how widescreen is it, Wade?
It's like 255 or something obnoxious like that.
It's like watching a Venetian blind.
It is kind of, yeah. It's a little slit in your television. So it needs Blu-ray, but it needs a better transfer as well. It's worth it, but boy, I hope a special edition is somewhere down the line. And then lastly, I'm going to just make a weird little culty recommendation here of the Blu-ray DVD combo pack of Embodiment of Evil. This is a Coffin Joe movie. Now, this is from Synapse, and Synapse releases a lot of cool culty stuff. If you don't know who Coffin Joe is, just go online and do a little bit of research. The Coffin Joe films are kind of a cool cult horror franchise from many, many years ago. And this is the third film in the Coffin Joe trilogy, which previously had the films At Midnight, I'll Take Your Soul, which was done in 1964, and then the 1967 film, This Night, I'll Possess Your Corpse. So you can tell these are family films.
The next night, I won't possess your corpse, but
these
this
are family
night,
films,
I'll possess your corpse.
right? These are family films. They're perfectly suitable for children, the kind of children who eat their parents alive. And you know what? I got to tell you, Coffin Joe stuff is really, really fun. Now, these movies are how do I put this? These movies are they're Brazilian, and the guy who stars in them is also the guy who directs them, Jose Mojica Marins. And so be prepared for a totally non-Hollywood experience if you want to check this out. But there's some really cool special features on here. A little making-of featurette, a kind of a film festival premiere tidbit, and a trailer. The featurette is fine, but the movie itself I'm going to recommend because it is just such a weird, cool, culty thing from yesteryear. And junk and stuff.
And stuff and junk?
And stuff and junk. And all that kind of junk.
You have something to talk about, don't you?
Yeah, let's get into this. We've been talking about a few epic things, biblical epics and whatnot, with all this Jesus stuff and Easter around the corner, and they always, pass over at the same time, and we're going to be getting a little bit into that as well. Mark, I received an interesting thing the other day. All the press releases, we get a lot of press releases, and this is coming out and that's coming out, and I get this, and I look at this, and I go, wow, I never even got a press release on this. Look at that. Ben-Hur, Ultimate Collector's Edition. I had
what? There's a Blu-ray of Ben-Hur?
Yeah, it looks like Blu-ray Ben-Hur Ultimate Collector's Edition. Wow, I like it here just suddenly. You know what? This box that says Ben-Hur Ultimate Collector's Edition, starring Charlton Heston, 50th anniversary, William Wyler, the whole schmear. This is the press release. This box that weighs more than what most collector's editions weigh. What could this possibly be? This custom black box. We open this up. I'm thinking there's got to be a Blu-ray in here. Well, here's a letter. Here's a letter on lovely stationery, a little gold leaf stationery, specially made for this. That says Ben-Hur at the top. It's not even like studio stationery. It's Ben-Hur stationery. No one can forget seeing Ben-Hur in a theater for the first time. Amazing. 100,000 costumes, 8,000 extras. Oh my gosh, this little letter, signed by a couple of guys I don't even know. And then we have this full-color glossy booklet. Wow, look at this. Look at this, 50th anniversary. There's Charlton Heston, all leathery and muscular and stuff. There's the 11 Academy Awards. Look at that. Oh, my gosh.
Wait, it includes the 11 Academy Awards?
It does.
What?
No. And then you get down here to the back, and we've got a special features highlights. Ultimate Collector's Day. Wow, look at that. Look at this. This is it's got to be in here, right? Oh, my gosh. Is this the leather-bound Blu-ray? Mark, what is this? Right in here. Is this No, it's a leather-bound notebook that says Ben-Hur on it, and then with a pen attached that also says Ben-Hur on it.
That's it.
That's it. This is what they spent a ridiculous amount of money to schmooze us for something that's not going to come out until the fall.
There's like hundreds of pages to this
it's like
empty diary book, whatever they call it.
It's insane. I have never seen anybody splurge on a movie that isn't coming out for months like this. This is incredible.
Well, you should take the pen and in the first page of the book write down the release date of Ben-Hur.
That's what it's all about. But here's the thing. This is the point I wanted to raise, because this kind of goes back to my tirade about Sucker Punch on Stupid for Movies. they're making a fuss about Ben-Hur because this movie is timeless. Are there any movies that have been made in the last, let's say, 5 years that are so timeless that 50 years from now someone would want to do that kind of a special edition?
The Titanic.
Not in the last 5 years. That's 97.
Avatar.
No, because they've already done it. They've already done the special edition. It came out 4 months after the movie. Then they came out with an even more special one.
I just don't know what timeless movies they really are.
See, but this
generally
is
speaking.
Yeah. I'm just saying, no one aspires to make timeless movies. They want to make a movie that'll be in and out and done and make all of its money within a few weeks, and then it'll go on to DVD and make its money in a few weeks, and then it's over. They're devaluing their libraries. They're not making movies that have enduring appeal anymore. They don't care. It's like we've gone to a McDonald's mentality. Move them in, move them out.
Yeah, but I like McDonald's. I especially like the McRib.
I'm sure you do. All right, from the sublime to the even more sublime. I'm going to go through real quickly here and just recommend. These are some documentaries that have kind of accumulated, but if you love art, these are some really, really good art documentaries. And there's something in here for everybody. I've looked at all these. They are all really, really cool, really professional. The Nude in Art. Stop, you lascivious scumbag. Don't you say anything nasty.
Squiggles?
The Nude in Art with Tim Marlowe. This is 4 programs that originally aired somewhere in Europe, I assume. And it's a really, really lovely look at 4 different approaches to the nude in art: the classical, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, and the modern. That's lovely. Then there is Frank Lloyd Wright's Guggenheim Museum, which, the museum itself is a great work of art all by itself. I mean, this is a feature-length documentary all about the amazing design of the Guggenheim. Fascinating, really, really cool. Waiting for Hockney is a story of a guy named Billy Pappas, who is this? He's an artist from Maryland, and he's obsessing on this painting. There's no way to even get into what he's doing. It's so bizarre. It's microscopic. It's like weird and strange and twisted. And all he wants is the sanction and the approval of David Hockney, the great artist. And it's kind of a weird, twisted, but fascinating little story. Then let's see here. Let me pull out this next one here, because from Hockney we can go to Gauguin. I like Gauguin. I'm a big fan of Paul Gauguin. This is Gauguin, maker of myth. Gauguin, of course, was he looked a lot like
Harvey Weinstein.
Yes, exactly.
Barry Bonds.
No. Have you ever seen Lust for Life? Anthony Quinn plays Gauguin in Lust for Life. So anyway, Gauguin, maker of myth. He was a friend of Vincent van Gogh's, and an amazing artist, one of the great artists of the 19th century. Died in the 20th century, right at the very beginning of it. And this is just a really lovely tribute and a great overview of his craft and his genius. Then we also have Heavy Water, a film for Chernobyl, which unfortunately is being released at a rather inopportune time, I have to say. It's with Japan and all that.
Too soon, Wade.
Yeah, in that sense, it is too soon. Now, you might wonder, what does this have to do with art? This is actually based on a book-length poem called Heavy Water by Mario Petrucci, and you have the poetry read by some rather exceptional actors as kind of a backdrop to this film. So it approaches as a kind of a tribute to the people who survived and are still dealing with Chernobyl in literally a poetic way. Some of the people who read the poetry include Juliet Stevenson and Samuel West. So they went and got some excellent people. Wasteland was nominated for an Academy Award and did not win. Really never had a chance, but it's an interesting film. It's kind of about trash as art, to be honest, and
Like Sucker Punch.
A little bit. The main basically goes to this enormous garbage dump in Brazil, and it's interesting how people who live in refuse can somehow find
love,
beauty in it. It's it's an intriguing film, very well photographed, interesting in concept. Gets a little tiresome at a certain point. You kind of want them to get on with it already, but I can see why it was nominated. And then lastly, there is Le Scandale Impressionniste. This is obviously a French film by François Lévy-Kuntz. And this is basically a look at the origins of, and kind of the scandalous origins of the Impressionist movement of painting, which, gave us such greats as Renoir and Cézanne and Claude Monet, and without...
It's Claude Monet.
Oh, yes, Monet, thank you. But without Renoir, we would never have gotten, Renoir fils in films like Le Grand Illusion.
Monet.
Yes, Grand Illusion. Thank you. That's where we get monetized, right?
Oh, yeah.
He sold his paintings for so much he monetized them.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you, Krusty. Anyway, a lot of documentaries have been made about the Impressionist movement, but this is a Frenchman who made this, and they know better than anybody else, right? Of course they do. Mark, you're a Doctor Who fan.
I am not.
I know. I always saddle you with the.
I don't understand Doctor Who. I really don't. I don't get it. He's a vampire and he goes through time. I don't know what he does. It's like 47 Doctor Who's.
Well, whatever. It's a thing. No, we got a couple of Doctor Who's here. One from the Tom Baker years, which I remember very well because he was kind of they're just cheesy as all hell. Doctor Who: Seeds of Doom. Lots of people in weird costumes here, and then from the William Hartnell years in the 1960s, he was one of the last Doctor Who's who was like an old dude. Isn't it funny how Doctor Who started off as an old, respectable guy, and now he's like young and bohunky?
I wonder why that is, Wade. Do you really think that kids are going to go see a 65-year-old Doctor Who?
Yeah, but it worked in the 60s. I mean, for example, what was the name of that the Equalizer? Could that show work today? Edward Woodward. Would that show work today? Or would it have to have some 25-year-old dude with muscles? I mean, he was cool, Edward Woodward. Da-da-da-da-da. It was great. Good theme.
You're out of your mind.
Anyway. No, the William Hartnell one here is Doctor Who: The Ark, which is actually not bad. It's cheesy as all hell, but, it's narratively a lot more interesting than the Tom Baker one here, The Seeds of Doom, which is, they're all cheesy. What can I say? And still working on a few British television things. I swear, Mark, I promise I'll get through all this stuff really quickly.
I bumped the mic.
Good. We haven't done that in a while. Give me just a second here. The Alan Bennett collection. This is really good, actually. The Alan Bennett collection featuring An Englishman Abroad. No emphasis on abroad. No, Alan Bennett is an amazing playwright, one of the great contemporary British playwrights, and that's saying a lot because the playwrights in England from the last 50 years or so have been extraordinary. Included here is The Insurance Man, which features Daniel Day-Lewis as Franz Kafka, A Question of Attribution, Boulevard Haussmann. By the way, Boulevard Haussmann is in Paris. Just want to point that out.
I know.
That. Yes.
One of the major streets in Paris.
That's right. One of the beautiful streets. I love Boulevard Haussmann. I really do.
It's named after John Houseman.
Exactly, yes. It's wonderful to walk up and down.
Yes, walk up and down John Houseman. He's a big man, but I don't know if he was that big.
Yeah, he was, A Day Out and Sunset Across the Day. Our Winnie, a visit from Miss Prothero, A Woman of No Importance, Dinner at Noon, and Portrait or Bust. Look, Alan Bennett just did such great work, and it's such a pleasure to watch anything that he had anything to do with. And you should check this out. There's An Englishman Abroad is really the one that's kind of considered the crowning achievement here. Alan Bates gives an unbelievably great performance in it, but really The Insurance Man is pretty great as well. So this is on a nice little slim 4-disc set from BBC, and check it out. It's good.
Have Gun Will Travel, Wade.
Yeah.
Season 5. This was a cool show back in the day. And when I say day, I mean 1962.
Oh.
Before we were born.
Yeah, barely.
Barely for you, mister. I forgot my glasses.
I know.
Paladin, Richard Boone. You know you love it. It's good stuff. Come on.
Yeah.
Now, I loved all these Wild West shows back in the day. They were really cool. And
Richard Boone was the man because he had that grizzly kind of quasi. It was sort of a little bit Humphrey Bogart and a little bit Charles Bronson.
He did look like Charles Bronson. He really did. He was actually not a handsome man, may I say.
No.
But
who needs it?
But this is sort of takes place in San Francisco, so it's kind of like it's not totally dusty frontier town. It's sort of like it's starting to evolve into a real city back in the late 1800s.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of interesting stories to tell. And Paladin's the man.
Yeah.
This is season 5, volume 2 of How Gun Will Travel. Tell your parents.
Speaking of westerns, one that I had never heard of, and I got to tell you, this is hysterical. Did you ever hear about Hawkeye?
Yeah, Hawkeye Pierce.
No, Hawkeye is a TV series.
No.
There's a Western series called Hawkeye, The First Frontier. This is the complete series. I never even knew this thing existed. Look at this. This stars Wonder Woman and Matt Houston. How cool is that?
Not very.
Lee Horsley and Linda Carter.
Didn't we just talk about Lee Horsley
We were talking about it
last
last week. We were. Where Matt Houston is a ripoff of Magnum.
And how Lee Horsley writes novels now?
Does he really?
Yeah.
That's
he
great.
has a wiki page, and we looked at the wiki page.
Well, he shaved his mustache to play Hawkeye.
Look at that. Look at that cleft chin. That is Douglasian. That is Kirk Douglasian
Not
in his
really.
cleftiness.
Not really. Anyway, this is not a very good show, but I like these actors, so I was willing to cut it a little bit of slack. This is from the people at Mill Creek. And then a couple other little Mill Creek doodads here to make mention of. Marcus Welby, MD, the best of Season 1. This is part of their TV Flashbacks thing, which kind of just distills the very best episodes so that you, for just a few bucks, can only get the stuff that you really need, and you don't have to sit around with a whole 30-episode season. There's 10 episodes here. Marcus Welby, does it age well? Not really. It's just another show today. It's kind of cheesy, but it's got a young James Brolin in it. I guess that's good for something. And then also from the TV Flashbacks, best of Season 1, 10 more episodes of The Bill Cosby Show. I hate seeing how young he was here, because in this show he's younger than I am now, and that makes me angry.
A lot of things make you angry.
I know.
Sucker Punch makes you angry. StupidMovies.com.
Yeah, true.
Check it out.
Henry Fonda shows up, by the way, in one of these.
Oh,
Isn't that hysterical? No. I know, right? Henry Fonda, who knew?
Oh, wait, Capone.
Oh,
Now,
the Ben Gazzara.
Yeah, this is the Ben Gazzara Capone. This is from 1975 or something like that. And it was directed by Steve Carver, who is famous for being Mr. and Mrs. Carver's kid. But the thing is, this was produced by... You realize who produced this? Roger Corman.
Oh,
Roger
really?
Corman produced this movie.
Really?
This is one of Corman's rare
I hit
forays
the mic now.
into respectability.
Oh, one of his TV efforts.
No, get this. This is Stallone,
Yeah.
Harry Gardino, who was a character actor back in the 70s, and Ben Gazzara. But a young-looking Stallone. Come on, it's all about Al Capone, the king. And it's good stuff. It really is.
I think Gazzara makes a better Capone than De Niro did in The Untouchables. I got to admit.
I think Gazzara looks more like Capone.
He does.
Than De Niro did.
Nobody really wants to look like Capone, but
I wouldn't wish it on anybody.
Catherine Zeta-Jones exploded onto the scene in The Darling Buds of May on British television, and that has been out already a number of times. And none of them terribly good. The transfers are not good. BFS has released all of them. This is pretty much the same transfer, and I don't blame BFS. It's just it was not a well shot show to begin with, but it's a very well written and a very well acted show, and it's considered like a legendary moment in British television. Catherine Zeta-Jones, beautiful then, beautiful now, extraordinary talent, but I think she's actually a better actress now, believe it or not. But this is what shot her, skyrocketed her to fame. And it takes place in the 1950s, and it is kind of it's very soap opera-y, but it's worth watching. And if you haven't seen it, definitely at least rent it. You can get it now in a it's a single case. It's much more conveniently packaged. It's not all these individual discs floating around. So they've done a nice repackage on it, but it's basically the same transfer as before. And let's see. Hold on, we got a bunch of compilation deals here.
Oh, we have Ernest Goes to Camp and Ernest Goes to Jail. Wade, there was a time
I know
when the late Jim Varney was considered, and his creation Ernest was considered just the funniest thing in the world.
I interviewed him,
Did you?
Nice guy. Crazy chain smoker, though. There
well,
was no question lung cancer was going to take that guy, and it did.
And it did.
Yeah.
And so here we have Ernest Goes to Camp, Ernest Goes to Jail. 2 Ernest films. You know what? At this point, they're really good for kids. I mean, you know what?
Yeah.
I can't believe we lavish this guy with like 5 movies.
I know.
Now it's just for kids, really.
Yeah.
So is there a reason to get this on Blu-ray? Totally.
Yeah.
How can you not enjoy Ernest on Blu-ray, Wade? Blu-ray, Wade.
Here's another double feature on Blu-ray. Spaghetti Western double feature, The Last Gun and $4 of Revenge. Neither of them are all that good. Worth getting on Blu-ray? Not really. Only if, we save your money and get like real spaghetti westerns. These are not nothing spectacular. These are kind of the also-rans from the 1960s, the ones that were being made other than the Clint Eastwood stuff and the Leone stuff and other than Django and the Corbucci stuff. No. This is the stuff that's really not that good. And then another double feature here, Galaxina with the Crater Lake Monster. I got mixed feelings here. Crater Lake Monster is just a dreadful movie. It's horrible. Galaxina is also a horrible movie, but it has Dorothy Stratton in it. So it's worth it for that. If you can get Galaxina by itself, get it. Crater Lake Monster. I don't know why that movie has such a cult following. It's so bizarre. Neither of them look very good on Blu-ray, but why not? Dorothy Stratton, better the resolution.
She looks great on Blu-ray, Green Ray, Red Ray. Red Room. You know what that's from? Barry Lyndon.
You wish your name was Ray so that you could say she looks good on Ray. See, then you could have...
Well, our good friend Ray Green, maybe he would feel that way.
Sure.
Ray would feel that way.
And then we have a thing here.
Says Ray.
Yeah, exactly. And then another Mill Creek compilation. Mill Creek will get a bunch of public domain stuff, and they will just throw it all onto a disc, even if it has nothing to do with anything else. And here they're calling this the Andy Sidaris Collection, 12-film set, Girls, Guns, and G-Strings. You know what? This is just the weirdest collection of movies I have ever seen in my life. And I just don't know why they even bothered with this, because does the name Andy Sidaris mean anything to anybody?
Hell yeah.
What does it mean to you?
Hell yeah.
I don't know. All I know is it's got a movie here called Guns from 1990 that has Eric Estrada in it.
Hell yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. Malibu Express with Darby Hinton. Okay, well, whatever. Okay. That's beautiful. Let's see, we're running short on time, so hold on, let's blow through. Okay, we got some cool stuff here, Mark.
Finally, Wade.
Right?
Yeah,
Kino. These came out a little bit ago, but we got to do a plug for these because the classic educational short series that Kino has been steadily releasing over the years has 2 more volumes. We got Volume 4 and Volume 3 here. Volume 3 is Safe, ... Not Sorry. And all of these things, if you, I don't think you have to endure these anymore. If you grew up in the 1970s, 1960s, even I think into the 1980s, you saw all of these horrible, horrible films in elementary school that had not been updated since your parents' era. And they are hilarious. And a lot of these it's cautionary warning stuff. And it's just not even relevant anymore.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Oh, my gosh, it's hysterical. Duck and cover, all that kind of stuff. No, here you get 10 long minutes. Say no to strangers. Don't touch. Dangerous stranger. Safety with animals. An outbreak of salmonella infection. Safety. Hidden harm hides at home. Trigger Happy Harry.
These are great.
They're great.
But
They're
you know
terrific.
what? Here's the thing. It's great. It's great if you're throwing a birthday party and you want something.
Absolutely.
You want something cheesy to throw into the DVD
Totally.
to make people laugh.
And the one I actually like these a whole lot better. This is Volume 4, The Celluloid Salesman. Oh my gosh, you're going to laugh yourself delirious. Get this one. This is one of the best of the series. Goodbye to Garbage will put you into an uncontrollable frenzy. Comprehending Blending, you just won't know what to do. You won't know what to do. You will absolutely just die laughing. Give the Lady What She Wants, Your Daily Bread, Ideas in Action, Goodbye Weeds. This stuff is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Don't miss it. It is hysterical. And let's see, is there anything else I can squeeze in before we get out of here? Hold on. Oh, yes, Edgar G. Robinson. Here we go. Edgar G. Robinson. in Thunder in the City.
Oh,
this is from VCI's Best of series. This is one of those obscure Edward G. Robinson movies that just kind of fell between the cracks. He's a much younger man at the time, but still a lot of fun to watch him. Is it a good movie? Not particularly, but it is kitschy, and it is nostalgic, and it is fun, and especially with the Ten Commandments coming out. Yeah, Moses, yeah. You've just got to go get your Edward G. Robinson on and work up a better impression than mine. That's your homework for the week.
Yeah, Shane.